Hello and welcome to Genius Inside. Today's topic is how to study biology effectively. Many students are confused about this strategy to study biology. Some try to memorize each and every topic while others just focus on the diagrams. So the question arises, which method is the most effective one? I will discuss about all this aspect in this video. So let's get started. Before knowing this strategy, you must know two things first. First is, what is biology? If you know about this subject, if you know what are the things you are going to study in a particular subject, it will be easy for you to read and understand it, right? So, biology is a natural science that studies life and living organisms, including their physical structure, that is, the entire internal and external structure of an organism, the chemical processes, that is the processes that take place within the body of an organism, the molecular interactions, that is how different molecules interact with one another inside the body of an organism, and physiological mechanisms, that is the functions of living organisms and their parts, the physical and chemical processes involved, etc. The development, that is how different parts, how different organs of the of body of an organism develops, right? And the last one is evolution, which is the change in heritable characteristics of a biological population over successive generation. So now you know what actually biology is, and it is really a vast subject. So next question arises, why do we have to study biology? What is the need? Why is it so important? Biology plays an important role in the understanding of complex forms of life involving humans, animals, and plants, which helps humans understand how to care for themselves, animals, and plant in the proper manner. If we know how life and living functions, we will be healthier, we will be able to keep the world healthier, and we will generally live well. For example, a boy gets food poisoning and he does not know that contaminated food is a major cause of food poisoning. So he will continue to consume contaminated food without knowing about the consequences. But if he knows, if he knows that food poisoning is caused by consumption of contaminated food, he will be able to prevent it, right? So moving on, we have how can we study biology effectively. So this was the main topic of this of this video, right? So first is learn terminologies. So take an example of term pollination, right? If you do not know what pollination is, if you do not know the meaning of pollination, what would you write in the examination? Right, but if you know that pollination is transfer of pollen grains to the stigma of a pistil, you would be able to write it. Moving on, do not memorize. So, in biology, memorizing a topic is never a solution. As I have said, it is a vast subject. So, you cannot memorize everything. Even if you memorize some concepts, you won't be able to retain for a longer time. So, if you want to retain a concept or any topic for a longer time, you need to read and understand it, not just memorize it. So next is the proceed from general to specific. So this is very important, not just in terms of biology but any subject. So consider example of pollination again. If you do not know what is pollination and you jump to the types of pollination, you start reading the types of pollination, orthogamy, xenogamy, you won't be able to understand it. But if you know that pollination means this, and then after that you move on to types of pollination, what is xenogamy, orthogamy, etc., you will be able to understand topics more clearly. So you need to comprehend the basic aspect of a concept before you go into details. Okay, so next is break down words into rules. For example, the word prokaryote. The word prokaryote, it is rooted in Greek. It combines the word pro which means before, and karyon, which means nut or kernel, or you can also say nucleus. So what prokaryote means, a cell which lacks membrane bound nucleus. That is why we called it pronucleus, prokaryote, membrane bound nucleus. Okay, so moving on, employ mnemonic devices. Now what is mnemonic devices? That's the question arises, right? So mnemonic devices are nothing but a technique for remembering information that is otherwise quite difficult to recall. So here is an example of 8 levels of classification. So if you try to memorize these 8 levels, domain, kingdom, phylum, etc., etc., you won't be able to memorize it. But if you make a sentence like a does King Philip come over for grape soda, if you memorize this sentence, you would be able to write the 8 level of classification without really memorizing the 8 level of classification, right? So next is make well labeled diagrams. Diagrams are very important in biology. Try to make the diagram wherever possible. Use charts or mind maps. So now what are mind maps? Mind maps are a diagram. Is a diagram used to visually organize information. In other words, you can also say that it is a visual form of note making. Not just a note making, it is a visual form of note making. So it allows you to understand information faster and better. Now next is embrace laboratory work. So experimenting biology system and processes in the laboratory is one of the most effective ways to learn biology. Right, so what you do in the lab will stay with you a lot longer than what you read in a book. The same thing goes with the note making. If you make detailed notes, if you make good notes, then you will be able to retain the concepts, retain the topics for a much longer time. So note making is also the most effective way of learning. So you retain more information as compared to when you just read it. So last but not the least, practice questions. So if you learn all the topics, if you understand all the concepts but you don't practice, you will forget all the topics, all the concepts you have learned, right? So practice question. You have to practice questions. Try to find any other previous year question papers, ask your teachers, your seniors, anyone, or you can just go through internet for the questions, right? But you have to practice. So that's all, folks. So like and share the video, and if you have any question you can ask in the comment section, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button.